Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're giving you our Week 4 starts and sits for the 2020 fantasy football season. We want to help you dominate your Week 4 fantasy matchups despite the COVID issues that are happening. Let's start this fantasy football podcast right now.
Hit that drop, Kyle. Hello and welcome to the Fantasy Football Upside. I am Justin. That is Kyle. Thanks for dropping by our Fantasy Football podcast and YouTube channel. We greatly appreciate it. Week 4 is already here, man.
Yep.
This is nuts. The season's already flying by. We're going to be towards the playoffs here before we know it. Definitely check us out because you want to know how to get to the playoffs. But today, we are giving you the first half of the start-sit questions for Sunday and Monday of Week 4 of the 2020 NFL season. Kyle, what you got?
Like always, if you guys need some help with the season and you want to make it to that championship, hit that subscribe button as well as that bell so that you're notified every time that we upload this fantasy football podcast. All right, so let's move on here to Week 4. Remember to check out our waiver wire episode and check the waivers that have run. I'll put the waiver wire episode up there in the corner. And check to see who got dropped in your league just to make sure that nobody somebody that you should be grabbing. So not only that, but let us know about your start-sit questions. We've gotten a few this week. We've been getting them throughout the season. We're more than happy to help. And let's dive headfirst into the shallow end here on these games. All right, so the 1 o'clock game is, 1 o'clock, the early set of games. We've got first one is Ravens at Washington. I'll take the Ravens here. And so I'm starting Lamar. And I'll start Ingram. I'm convinced this is Ingram's backfield now. You look at, if you add up the rush attempts that have occurred so far, there's 26 rush attempts for Ingram to 10 and 18 for Dobbins and Edwards respectively. Edwards is obviously getting more carries than Dobbins, and it is creeping up towards Mark Ingram, right? You would think, but he got 4 carries, 10 carries, 4 carries. So that second game is a bit of an aberration potentially. He's too inconsistent there. So I think that Ingram is fairly consistent, actually. Let's see here. You could start Marquise Hollywood Brown. He's getting 6 targets a game. 6 targets every game, apparently. And so that's not bad. And that's only 1 more target than Mark Andrews, who you were also going to start, even though he's not doing the greatest. No. You drafted him. You got to start him. It's the way it works, guys. There's nobody else that you're going to grab off the wire right now that's going to do better for you or have the potential to own an entire week for you. All right, so what do you have on Washington's players there, Justin?
On Washington football team, one quick thing I will say, I usually do starts only, but Dwayne Haskins is definitely a sit, and he's actually on the verge of getting benched.
Yeah.
That's something Ron Rivera said. There is a cutoff point for me. So, keep it moving. Antonio Gibson is a start and a flex. That's where I prefer him. I'm cool with him having a flex in both standard and PPR, though. It's starting to have more and more workload for him. You're still going to start Scary Terry McLaurin. The rest of the wide receivers you're going to sit, and I'm going to go ahead and sit Logan Thomas as well. It's just he's getting a lot of targets, but he can't do anything with them because who's throwing them?
Yeah.
That's really about it. I'm all about targets for tight ends, but if they're not catchable, then keep it moving.
Yeah.
So the next one, and this is one that we're going to go ahead and go forward with. We're going to do Steelers at Titans. As of right now, the game has been postponed, but we want to go ahead and do the start sit like it's going to be played.
Yeah, the NFL is making it clear that it's probably going to be a Monday or Tuesday game now. And most sites are indicating so far, most platforms for leagues are indicating that they do intend to include that game in the Week 4 totals. You have to remember that a lot of times they're able to do stat corrections throughout the week, as late as Friday in a week. So they can easily manipulate Week 4's outcomes. So we may not know the full extent of the outcome of everybody's games. Until maybe Tuesday or Wednesday next week. But, plan to run your waivers on Tuesday. That probably won't change. Nothing else is going to change. But, yeah, we're going to go ahead and talk about this game because it looks like it's going to happen. I'll go ahead and take the Steelers here. And we've got Ben Roethlisberger as a start. James Conner is a start. We're sitting Benny Snell back down. It looks like this is not as much of a split as it was going to be for a little bit. And Mike Tomlin was saying that he was planning to. James Conner's got control of this backfield until he gets hurt, which, like I said, until he gets hurt, which is what he does. Yeah. Juju is a start, and Deontay Johnson is a start, but you need to monitor him because he is in the concussion protocol.
Yep.
And not sure that he's going to get out this week, but he might. They got him into the concussion protocol right away, so the possibility of him playing this week is. And
if it's delayed until Monday or Tuesday, then that might actually help out.
Yeah.
But it's also one of those things you're kind of counting on that too. So that's kind of a tough one.
That is a really tough one. I think that anybody who's a question mark in this game, you probably really have to kind of pivot away from them unless your league has some sort of nuanced position that they're going to take on this stuff. So what do you have on the Titans here? I don't have any other starts there.
Gotcha. For the Titans, I will start Ryan Tannehill in like a 2 QB or super flex league, but in a normal 12-team standard scoring, no. Derrick Henry is definitely a start. AJ Brown, if he plays, he hasn't practiced yet this week, and he didn't practice at all last week.
I don't think he's going to play.
That's one of those. If he plays, start him up. If not, start Corey Davis, because he is actually given some value as like a wide receiver 3 in an offense. But go ahead and start Jonnu Smith. He's looking like a startable tight end moving forward. So he's really been one of those guys that has kind of flashed with the athleticism over the years. And now that Delaney Walker is gone, he's actually able to showcase that week in and week out, and it's definitely showing, man.
Yeah, I would say just as a like a strategy position here, that if you have a wide receiver in this game who is banged up between AJ Brown and Deontay Johnson, I would imagine Deontay Johnson is going to get to play. So you could run the risk of trying to put him into your lineup, but I would slot him into your flex over any other player if you can do that. But I would say that if you've got Deontay Johnson or AJ Brown and Corey Davis is available on the wire, I would run and grab Corey Davis and just put him into my bench and hope that I don't have to play him if I have the space.
And if both of them are out, like you just said, you just throw them right there.
Just throw them right in.
Good to go. Yeah.
Yep.
That's a good little nugget.
Yeah, it's upside. It's what we got to do. All right, so let's talk about the Chargers at the Buccaneers. We've got the Chargers going first here, and I'm starting Austin Eckler, and I think that Josh Kelly's still a start here. Yeah. They're splitting work pretty good. Eckler did tick up in his pass work last week, I believe, and Keenan Allen right now is apparently the preferred target for Justin Herbert, but it could go just like Phillip Rivers always did, which was you get 15 targets this week and next week you get 1. I have no idea what's going to happen there with that. And then not only that, Keenan Allen is just generally inconsistent. He wasn't getting separation last week like he should have. And that kind of led to their problems on their offense last week because they were keying in too tightly on Keenan Allen. So I would not expect the targets to stay as high as they were. Mike Williams, I'm sitting, might start him in a flex if I have to. Hunter Henry he's just dominant right now. I think he's doing pretty well. Yeah. So, got as McAfee calls him, as Pat McAfee calls him, Air Bear, right? Got Herbert. And so, he's going to go to that tight end.
Yeah. Alrighty. For the Bucs, I'm going to start Tom Brady if that's who you have, kind of thing. If you're going to be starting, if that's your only starter, usually I just like him in a two QB league. Excuse me, because the Chargers are still very good on the defensive side, even though they are losing Chris Harris Jr. It looks like, and they've lost a couple other people on the defensive line, but still fire him up. Ronald Jones, I'm going to go ahead and start him because Fournette is missing practice right now. And, that's something that kind of came out today. But Fournette had a big week 2 and then a huge dud week 3. So I'm going to go ahead and fire up Ronald Jones. Going to go ahead and start Mike Evans. Chris Godwin is not looking good. He hurt himself again. It's not looking good. Scotty Miller, he's hurt as well.
Godwin, I believe, is out until week 6 at the earliest. They're saying now.
Yeah. So definitely he's
a
sit
or
for
through
sure.
week 6, I think. So yeah, he's a sit.
And then Scotty Miller, he's another sit. I was thinking about going ahead and starting him, but some of the practice things came out today, and he missed all of practice. So other than that, I'm sitting the rest of the tight ends, even though Rob put up a decent number, I guess. He put up 7 targets, 6 catches of 48 yards, which is the most all season, which is Still not saying much in a Bruce Arians
no,
offense.
no, it's very un-Bruce Arians.
Very.
Yeah, so let's move on here. We've got Seahawks at the Dolphins.
Yep.
I'll take the Seahawks here. I'm starting Russell Wilson, and I'm sitting all of the running backs right now.
Yeah.
Chris Carson, there's a possibility he does play this week, but I think he's out most likely. He's got a minor knee sprain, and I think that they're just going to decide that they shouldn't start him. They've got a decent backup. That's Carlos Hyde. You could start Carlos Hyde if you wanted to or needed to, but that's a risky move.
Yeah.
Start Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, and hope that DK Metcalf knows how to not celebrate like Leon Lett. And I don't know if you saw that, Justin, but
Yes,
he straight up got the ball punched through on a touchback one, man. That's bad.
That's bad.
And then nobody else. There's nobody else there. It's tough to figure out which tight end right now to play. Hollister, I think, had a TD last week. Disley is still working his way back. I think once they start using him, you should run and grab him. So, all right. Who do you have for me at the Dolphins?
For the Dolphins, I am going to go ahead and start Ryan Fitzpatrick, because he's just slinging the rock. For running backs, I'm going to start Myles Gaskin, and that's the only one, and I would prefer him in my flex.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And then Devontae Parker is definitely a start. He's getting healthier and healthier. Preston Williams is definitely a sit right now, man. He's getting close to droppable. A lot of fanfare going into the season, and maybe he's just not fully healthy from that torn ACL, because it's still a quick turnaround.
And he was a Twitter darling.
He really was. I got caught up in it for a little bit, but luckily I didn't draft him anywhere. But for the tight end room, I am going to start Mike Gesicki, but that lack of work last week was a little alarming. But go ahead and fire him up this week. It should be
this week. He'll be fine this week. This is a passing game, guys. This is going to be just nothing but the ball in the air all night long on that game.
All right,
so it's a good one.
Up next, we have the Vikings at the Texans. Kyle, why don't you go ahead and hit me with the Vikings?
All right, the Vikings. I've got, let's see here. Start Dalvin Cook, start Adam Thielen. I'm actually going to say start Justin Jefferson.
Okay.
I think this is a good matchup coming off of his breakout. So I think that you don't expect a repeat, guys. Don't expect him to go out there and put up 175 yards, right? But do expect him to put up probably somewhere close to like 60 to 70 to 80 yards and maybe a TD combined with that. And I think that that's a solid day out of a wide receiver 2 on that team. Right. They're hoping to be able to put him in a wide receiver 3 or flex spot. But that's it. Literally, it's those 3 guys. And I think that Justin Jefferson is borderline right now. I want to see him do this consistently. Now, if you drafted him, that's probably the only way you really truly have him in most leagues. You might be in a position with injuries that you have to start him. And if you do, try to put him as low down on your roster as possible on that.
Yep.
What do you have on the Texans there?
Deshaun Watson is a start. David Johnson is a start. He's still holding like 90% of the touches for running backs. Duke Johnson looks like he has returned to practice in a limited role, but still he's not going to take enough of David Johnson's work. Looking for a bounce back for David Johnson. He's had a rough couple weeks when it comes to the defenses that the Texans have played against the run. Brandon Cooks is a sit. I mean, if you're desperate for a flex, but he's just a huge boomer bust. Will Fuller is the wide receiver to have on this team, but even him, it's really hard with the injury risk. It really is. It's any time.
He could get you 2 targets, no catches, and be gone after the 4th play. He really could.
Exactly. No, you hit it right on there. Randall Cobb, keep an eye on those targets. He's a sit, of course, but keep an eye on those targets. He got a good amount of target share last week, but we just kind of like to mention Randall Cobb here or there, but it's
just funny that he could still be a wide receiver 1 on that team.
He really
because
could.
they can't figure out how to manage their wide receivers since they traded Hopkins away. All right, let's move on here to the next matchup.
Hey, future Hall of Famer.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I misspoke. Left out his full title, future Hall of Famer, DeAndre Hopkins. Saints at the Lions here. I'll take the Saints. We've got Drew Brees. He's a start still, even though he can't throw the ball beyond 10 yards. But they've kind of decided to accommodate him by just having him throw to Kamara all the time, who you're starting. Murray's still kind of out here. And let's see here. Yeah, he did have a better workload in week 3, but over week 2. but I think that was just because Kamara was tired. I mean, you'd be tired too if you ran that much.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Emmanuel Sanders is a start, in my opinion, in the flex. He finally appears to have a connection with Breeze, but I don't know that he's going to get a ton of volume.
Yeah.
I don't really know where they're going to go with the ball, other than to hand it off or throw it to Kamara. I really
It's
don't.
pretty much the offense, I think.
I think it pretty much is at this point. They're getting a little bit one-dimensional because of Michael Thomas's absence. So,
Yep.
what do you have for the Lions?
For the Lions, I'm still going to fire up Matthew Stafford, man. I'm hoping for a bounce back. I mean, he's really kind of come out with some duds so far. But for the running backs, starting Adrian Peterson, because, I mean, obviously you want to, invest 2 second-round picks in Kerryon Johnson, DeAndre Swift, bring in Adrian Peterson off the street and go ahead and start him over all the other running backs. I mean, that makes sense. It does. It makes total sense to do that.
Yeah, I guess. He's looking his age, though, man. He really is.
Yeah, there was a little sarcasm in there. I just don't understand what they're doing with Detroit when it comes to that running back room.
Yeah.
The amount of touches that Adrian Peterson is getting over the other two. Wide receivers, Kenny Golladay came back last week looking Kenny Golladay of old. He's just going to keep getting better and better. Start Marvin Jones as well if you have to. Kind of a dud so far this year. We've both were really high on Marvin Jones, and he's really kind of let us down.
So he might have finally hit that wall.
It's either that or he's just not good enough to really have the number one corner on them, or getting that's
possible too.
The safety cover and everything like that. So maybe he is a guy that's good whenever Kenny Galladay's on the field as well. And then still going to start T.J. Hawkinson at tight end.
I think this is going to be a good week for him.
I think so too.
All right, Browns at Cowboys. Let's see here. I'll take the Browns. Starting Nick Chubb and Hunt. Start OBJ. Start Jarvis Landry. Look, this is going to be a pass-heavy game in my opinion, so this could be a good bounce-back game for Jarvis here.
Yeah.
He is finally looking like he's ready to go. Targets are ticking up a little bit, so I think that's looking pretty good. And that's really it. Those are the only pieces of value in this offense. And my concern always with Chubb and Hunt is that there's a little bit of balance between the two. You never know who's going to be the one to have that week. But they're both still putting out like solid weeks. It's just that one always puts up a better one.
Yeah, so far so good. Absolutely. For the Cowboys, start Dak, start Ezekiel. I'm going to fire up all 3 wide receivers. I'm going to fire up Amari, Michael Gallup, CeeDee Lamb. All 3 of them are really good wide receivers. Cedric Wilson came out of nowhere and had a monster game last week. It was a limited amount of routes ran and everything like that. It was a big game script, but keep an eye on him if for some reason one of the 3 wide receivers that we just mentioned does get hurt. If they do, that might be a nice little sleeper waiver wire pickup. Nothing on tight ends yet. I'm still not quite sure about Dalton Schultz. So stash him for now. Looks like up next we have the Jacksonville Jags against the Cincinnati Bengals. Hit me with the Jags, Kyle.
All right. Gardner Minshew, I think you still got to start him. He did have a dud last week, right? But this should be a bounce-back game. This is a game where they're just going to need to keep passing the ball to keep up with the Bengals. I think that the Bengals are going to be able to pass a ton and do so effectively. I think with T. Higgins waking up, it's kind of becoming that situation. And I think that, this could be a week that AJ Green finally gets back on, off the schneid. We'll see. I don't know. So that means to me that Gardner Minshew is going to have to throw a lot. But you can still start James Robinson even with that because they don't stop handing the ball off ever. Like there's no reason to stop. They could be down 30 points and they're still giving him the ball to run it into the end zone, and he breaks off 35-yard touchdown runs. So he's, in my opinion, he's entered stud status for the foreseeable future, and that's primarily because their schedule is cake. They have one game the rest of the season against anybody who's going to be worth any challenge in against running backs, and that's Pittsburgh. That's it. DJ Chark.
They're going to play the Colts again.
Yeah, except that the Colts haven't been that great against the running back. They haven't actually. They've done okay, but He did run over them, if you do recall. DJ Chark is a start. If he plays, he's limited in practice right now. So it looks like he might play, but keep your eye on that one.
Yep.
Keelan Cole is a start only in flex right now. And I would say even only if Chark doesn't play. Keelan Cole's kind of been a dud a bit. You can still start Tyler Eifert, but that's a desperation play. And it's only because this is a good matchup, actually.
Yeah.
So what do you got on the Bengals?
Start Joe Burrow, man. Start it up. Dude's in a high pass volume with good weapons and does
QB9. He's QB9 right now, man.
And as long as they can keep him upright, that's going to be
he's QB9 as long as he has legs.
Yes.
Because he has to run away.
Or head or an arm or any of those things. Absolutely. Start Joe Mixon. Boy, it's been a rough year. It looks like a carbon copy of last year. So definitely a big buy low candidate, but I would still go ahead and wait a little. Let's go ahead and have a couple more duds before you buy low on him.
Yeah. I think you'll be able to buy low on him the rest of the year because that schedule looks tough.
Yeah.
For running back that I've looked, I was like, oh, hey, Mixon, maybe I can grab him from somebody. No. I don't want Mixon. I don't
want it.
I don't. No, mama. No.
So for wide receivers, fire up Tyler Boyd. Let's hope your boy AJ Green, you just mentioned him. Hopefully he does have a coming out party for 2020. T. Higgins is a sit for right now. Just go ahead and keep an eye on those targets. It's one of those things where are they going to throw enough? Kind of like what Dallas does. Are they going to throw enough to kind of have 3 fantasy valuable wide receivers because, they don't have a tight end to speak of, kind of like Dallas. Dallas does have a outstanding running back that does catch the ball out of the backfield. Joe Mixon can do that.
I was going to say, so does Cincinnati.
But they just don't do that.
No.
They just don't want to for some reason.
Yeah.
Because, why do that if it makes too much sense?
Well, because they can't pass block and they can't run block. So, yeah.
That helps.
It's like they got just 5 of me standing up there and just like, hey, how you doing, man? Yeah.
He's the
guy with the balls back there. I don't have it. Don't hit me.
No.
I don't have
number 1 pick.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No,
so yeah. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us tonight. We are going to cover the remainder of the games tomorrow for you. So make sure that you click that bell to subscribe, or click that button to subscribe and click the bell so you're notified every time that we upload the best fantasy football podcast on the internet. I'm going to throw onto the screen here for you a couple videos. We've got the waiver wire video and maybe the Thursday night game because we talk about players that you should pay attention to and look at. And so maybe you'll need that one still. All right, guys. We'll see you next time. Thanks for being fans of the Upside. Bye.
See you guys.